Welcome to another episode of Game Boy Roulette, where we take a look at randomly chosen games from the Game Boy library.
Cool Spot. He's so cool and complicated. Okay, there's actually a lot to talk about here, so let's unpack the basic question. Who the hell is this radical little dot? Well, back in the 90s, it was pretty much mandatory that your brand have a cool little mascot who could tell the kids to consume. Enter 7-Up, who decided to create a red dot with arms and legs. Add a pair of kickin' sunglasses and boom, mascot. Funnily enough, while he appeared in quite a few ads, he was probably best well known for appearing in a series of platformer video games that were actually pretty good. In fact, I remember renting Cool Spot for the Sega Genesis and being surprised at how much I was enjoying it. It may have been one long advertisement, but hey, at least it was a fun one. So with that out of the way, let's unpack the other bigger question. Why are there 3 Cool Spot games on the Game Boy? There's this one, released in 1994 and developed by the same makers of the Genesis version, Virgin Interactive. Then a year before this is Spot the Cool Adventure, which is just a reskin of a McDonald's branded platformer game. But a year before that is Spot the Video Game, which in defiance of all things good and just in the world, is a bizarre puzzle strategy game. So to recap, there are the same amount of Cool Spot games on the Game Boy as there are Kid Icarus games in total. He's just a little dot with sunglasses who tells kids to drink soda. Was he really an interesting enough character to warrant this many games? Also, he can't be that effective. I've literally never had a sip of 7-Up in my life. You know what? I take it all back. This box art shows that Spot deserved another 1,000 games. It's like the 90s distilled into a single image with the surfing and the sunglasses and the fireprint surfboard. Gotta say though, this fish is totally killing the vibe. So, who's up for a mascot platformer? Let's take a sip of Cool Spot. Cool Spot owned by 7-Up. Wonder if that trademark still exists. I haven't seen Cool Spot in a while. Oh yeah. Look how cool he is. Cool Spot. He's so cool they don't even put the name of the game on here. Wow, yeah, they just don't have Cool Spot here. Good water effect down there. Alright, let's do this. Oh god. Right, this is exactly how it was on Genesis, this really confusing screen for what to do. Release those, find these, shoot here. God, what a nightmare. Ooh, alright. Let's shoot some crabs. Ow. Animation's not bad, actually. We are currently 4% cool. Good to know, good to know. Okay, yeah, I'm actually really impressed with the animation so far. I think this is all you can do. I think it's literally just you can run around and jump. Can't I jump on top of the balloons? What is this music? This is... I don't know how to explain it. This is like the most Game Boy game I've ever seen. It's Game Boy to the max right now. It's not necessarily a bad thing, though. It's functional so far. I'd say the only issue I'm having is how much the screen shakes around when you're moving. Like, yeah, it's a little frantic. I wonder what my health is. I guess low. Alright, that answers that. He's back. Oh god, right, it's like, these games are collectathons. No. Oh, I missed one up there. I got it. The funny thing is, this is better than a lot of the platformers I've played. Oh god, the music's doing that weird thing again. So the game goes along pretty, I guess the only way to put it is generically. You collect all the dots in each level, then you can free your other dot friend, and then the game ends. I don't even think it has like boss fights or anything. The problem with this game, as I remember on the Genesis, and seems to be brought over straight to this version, is that it does get very samey very soon. Like, what we're seeing now, the game doesn't really evolve beyond this. It does get kind of boring. Certainly less boring than a lot of platformers, though. That's the thing, the game does have, some stuff over it. I mean, again, the game looks nice, it seems to be playing totally fine. I can just totally see people getting bored playing it. Not me, though. I think this is the greatest game ever made. Find a cage. What? Oh, wait. Do we not need 100%? Okay, when we finish this level, I'm gonna have to check the rules. I'm trying to remember, do you need to collect everything? We did it. Okay, hang on, I just want to check a couple things. Okay, so... it is pretty similar to the Genesis version, but I was remembering something wrong. You don't have to get all the spots in the level. But if you get enough, you get a bonus level at the end of each stage. But the bonus levels are pretty much just climbing up bubbles. And what do you get from those bonus levels? You get letters spelling out Uncola. Oh, that was not a swimming portion. When you get all the letters that spell Uncola, which was, I believe, their, like, tagline at the time, then you have all the letters that spell Uncola. The thing is, the game is totally functional, even kind of fun. Good animation, music's alright, it's got a little bit of enemy variety, a little bit of stage variety, too. Is this something I should touch? No. The problem is, it never really evolves the gameplay. There's no bosses. There's no, like, final challenge. There's barely even a final level. You just do a bunch of these stages, and then it just says, congratulations, you win. Now, on the other hand, there's about an hour to an hour and a half worth of game here, which for the Game Boy is perfectly acceptable. And again, it's not doing anything really wrong. I could see myself playing this game, trying to 100% it, so I could brag to my friends about my Uncola supremacy. And I'll say, on a personal level, I like this game. I do. Even with its flaws. Oh, is this a game over? Yes. I hate this screen. Anyway, even with the game's flaws, I think it's enjoyable. It's one of those, I guess, time capsule games, you know? Where we can all kind of look back and go, wow, they made not just a mascot that was just a dot with sunglasses, but they made him into a game. And funnily enough, the game wasn't bad at all. It was miles beyond some of the platformers on the Game Boy. But I'd also say a lot of it's going to come down to personal taste. And for me, probably a little nostalgia. Because come to think of it, I rented this game a bunch to try to beat it. It was one of those kind of games where I rented it rather than try to beat it. And even with my nostalgia for it, playing it again, yeah, I can kind of see why I never bought this one.
See, this game is great. This opinion brought to you by 7-Up. I think this is going to fall into the category of games that are kinda, sorta not great, but that I really enjoy for my own personal reasons. But let's be totally clear, this isn't a bad game by any means. On the contrary, it's a pretty solid platformer in its own right. The graphics are nice for the Game Boy, the music is good, apart from that one weird breakdown in the first song, and most importantly, the gameplay was fun. It wasn't a very complex collectathon game, but it had enough going for it to not turn you away, between sprawling maze-like levels and enough content to last you for a good while. And the gimmick of being able to beat each level with one amount of collectibles, or go for higher to get the bonus stage after, is a nice little gameplay hook to keep things fairly interesting. But, and it's amazing how often this comes up on Game Boy Roulette, we once again run into the issue of variety, or in this case, the lack thereof. The gameplay never evolves as the game goes on, the levels only get a little larger, there aren't even any boss fights or level variations to keep things interesting. It's the kind of game that can get very samey very quickly. Even the bonus levels don't evolve at all, and there's really no great reward for getting them other than more marketing. I think I might be giving the game more slack than I usually do for nostalgia reasons, given how often I played the Sega Genesis version of the game, but I do still think there's something enjoyable here, especially if you're into 90s style platformers. So even though this is a walking, breathing advertisement, it's one that I kinda cherish, and I think it's worth giving a shot to. I'll openly admit there's a chance you won't like it, but I also think there's a chance it might charm you enough to keep playing. Although it might not actually sell you on the drink, because according to this game, 7-Up is surprisingly violent. And that's all for another episode of Game Boy Roulette. Make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe to follow the series as we continue to dig through the Game Boy vault. I'm BrianJ, and I'll see you next time.